Hola and welcome to the grand finale of Global Pay Fest 25. I'm Tom Crowton, again, back with you again, and I'm honoured to be here hosting our final session, which is Argentina. So far, we've covered 23 countries across 5 continents, and what better way to end with one of the most complex, regulated and rapidly evolving payroll systems in Latin America. Argentina's economic volatility, inflation-linked wages and detailed labour code make it a fascinating case for all payroll professionals. Today, I'm joined by Delfina Bruhl, an Argentinian payroll expert from Neeyamo. Welcome. Neeyamo are a technology-enabled global payroll and EOR solutions provider for multinational and micronational corporations. Delfina has deep experience navigating Argentina's legislative, tax and payroll environment. Delfina, thank you so much for joining us today for our final session, 24 of 24. To start us off, could you share a little bit about your background and how you support payroll teams working in Argentina?
Hi Tom. My name is Delfina Bruhl. I have been working at Neeyamo since February 2024 as a part of the team payroll team. I have over 4 years of experience in payroll processing with a focus on Argentina. I'm passionate about continuing to learn and bringing clarity, accuracy, and a human touch to every process I work on.
Fantastic. Thank you. So today we're going to explore Argentina's complex payroll structure, recent legislative development. I struggle with that word. I always do. A case study, and then questions from our followers regarding Argentinian payroll. So without further ado, let's jump in, and over to you, Delfina.
Thank you, Tom. Argentina is a country where payroll is inseparable from inflation, collective bargaining, and labor law. Let's take a closer look at what employers need to know. Core features of Argentina payroll. Employment contracts governed by LCT. Labor laws set out clear rules on hours, holidays, terminations, and benefits. Contributions to ARCA. The Federal Tax Authority, ARCA, manages income tax and social contributions. Collective Bargaining Agreement, CBAs. Set minimum salary scales and benefits that supersede basic law. Inflation indexing. Many salary increases are tied to inflations and renegotiation through CBAs multiple times per year. Key compliance elements. High payroll tax burden. Employer contributions average 23 to 27% of gross salary. Social Security, health insurance, or obra social, and unions thus must be deducted and remitted monthly. Multiple monthly pays. Salaries are typically paid monthly, with an additional 13th salary, aguinaldo, paid in 2 installments, June and December. Currency controls and inflation. Payroll must be reported and paid in Argentina pesos, but economic instability affects net salary value over time. Compensation packages often include indexed of foreign currency-linked costs with care. Leave and severance. Annual leave varies based on seniority. Severance for unjustified dismissal includes 1 month of salary per year of service plus extras. Employer must follow termination notice periods strictly. Union obligation. Many industries are governed by CBS, which dictate base pays, allowances, and benefits. Failure to comply can trigger fines and union actions. Well, we have recent and upcoming changes like income tax reform in 2024, higher not taxable income thresholds introduced, adapted to tax brackets and minimum thresholds. Increasing focus on labor audits. Inspectors are checking for undeclared workers, social contributions compliance, and the union adherence. Minimum wage adjustment. Indexed regularly due to inflations. Employer must stay current with national announcements. Digitalization of payroll reporting. E-receipts and digital payroll books now mandatory for most employers. Well, our best practices for global employers are like we are aligned with a local payroll provider. Argentina's economics and regularity complexity change rapidly, so a local expertise is vital. Track and apply CBA's updates promptly. Salary revisions can occur mid-year or even quarterly. Prepare for severance obligations. Terminations can be expensive. Calculate early and document everything.
Yeah.
Issue compliant payslips. This must include all deductions, CBA reference, and calculation breakdowns. Forecast in local currency. Even if budgets are in USD, payroll liabilities must be paid and reported in pesos.
Okay, that's really interesting. Thank you very much for that, Delfina. I think the two bits of the best practice that stood out for me, calculate early and document everything. You know, that's true in Argentina and it's true globally as well, right? It's also true about the documentation in outside of payroll as well. You know, if it's not written down, it didn't happen. So document everything is vital. You want to have something to go back to. And then aligning with like local payroll providers as well. So like yourselves, I imagine, you know, you guys are there as the experts and can support Argentinian employees and employers as well. So thank you very much for that. That was fantastic. We have a case study to walk through now. Today's case study highlights Andes Data, who are a fictional technology firm, set up shop in Buenos Aires. Delfina, could you talk us through how their team tackled Argentinians' inflation-sensitive payroll practices and strict severance rules? If you bear with me for just a moment, I'm going to share this on the screen.
Okay, so sure, Tom.
I'm just going to share it now so that the guys can have a look. Can we see this? Is that up now, Delfina?
Yes, perfect. I can see that.
Please fire away.
Okay, first I will analyze the challenges presented in this case. Incorrect severance pay calculations. Terminated employees weren't paid in the correct indemnity due to outdated salary indexing. Withholding tax misclassification. Commissions were taxed as non-regular income when they should have been averaged over time. Inflation adjustment gaps. Salaries weren't regularity updated in line with the local inflation guidelines. Delayed ART, workers' compensation contributions. Payments to ART insurance were missed, reaching legal requirements. So the solutions implemented, the severance pay was recalculated to include 1 month per year of service, 6 months average of last salary, including bonuses and commissions. Commission taxes were reassessed using rolling average. Salary review process introduces quarterly inflation adjustments. Payroll system integrated with IRT payment calendar to ensure timely contributions.
Excellent. Thank you for that insight. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen now. So thank you very much for that insight. That was really interesting. It's something that we've enjoyed doing throughout our previous 23 sessions, is having a look at a case study of when things have gone wrong. I think it's your expert oversight was brilliant, but I think it goes a level deeper when we can see how you would put your insight into working on a company. So thank you very much for that. That was brilliant. We have got some questions from our network who wanted to pose them to you around Argentinian payroll. So if we dive into those now, question 1, Can we pay in USD to avoid inflation impact?
Okay, in Argentina, labor laws require that salaries be primarily paid in local currencies, so in Argentina pesos. However, it's allowed to pay up to 20% of the salary in a foreign currency, such as USD, as long as certain conditions are met and the legal minimum in pesos is respected. This structure can be used by some companies as a way to offset the impact of inflation, but it must be done carefully and in a compliance with current regulations. So we can, but we have a top of 20%.
Okay, excellent. Question 2 from the network. Are CBAs really mandatory if we are not unionized?
Well, in Argentina, collective bargaining agreements are mandatory, even if the company is not unionized. This is because CBAs apply by sector or activity, regardless of whether the workers are affiliated with a union or not. That is, any worker performing an activity regulated by a CBS is entitled to the conditions established in that agreement, even if they are not unionized. CBAs cover aspects such as salaries, benefits, working hours, and labor conditions, and must be respected by all the companies within the corresponding sector.
It's really interesting. Thank you for that. How often do we need to update salaries?
If we are talking about an employee covered by a collective bargaining agreement, in that case, salary increases must be made according to what the CBAs establish, and this is mandatory. CBAs typically include increases related to inflation, the cost of living, and other factors that affect the sector. So, if a worker is covered by one of these agreements, there is not much flexibility. These increases must be respected as a part of worker rights. However, if the worker is not covered by a CBA, as in the case with some professionals like lawyers, accountants, or doctors, things change a bit. In their cases, there is not a legal obligation to make salary increases in line with an agreement. So adjustments are typically agreed upon between the employee and the employer. These adjustments are generally negotiated considering factors such as an inflation, the employee's performance, and the overall economic situation. It's a more flexible agreement, but it is always important that both parties agree on the terms of the set.
That's brilliant. Thank you for that in-depth answer there. That's fantastic. Question 4 from the guys. What are the risks of terminating someone without cause?
In Argentina, if a company decides to terminate an employee without case, it must be paid the corresponding severance, which includes various components such as severance paid for seniority, unpaid wages, proportional vacation pays, and the SAC bonus, among others. If the severance calculation is not done correctly, the employee can take the case to court. This can be very costly for the company, not only due to additional payments that may arise from a ruling in the process in favor of the employee, but also because a legal fees and the costs associated with a judicial process that could extend for several months. Therefore, it's crucial to ensure that the severance calculation is correct to avoid legal complications and additional costs.
Perfect. Thank you, Delfina. Question 5. What's the penalty for missing the AFIP deadlines?
Well, now AFIP, it's called ARCA. That's the new name of the government portal. Well, in Argentina, failing to meet the deadlines set by the ARCA can result in significant financial penalties. Fines for submitting late declarations or failing to make payments within the established deadlines can vary depending on the type of non-compliance. Some of the possible penalties includes fixed fines, a fine for each day of delay, depending on the severity of the non-compliance. Interest. In addition to fines, interest will be generated for the time that passed without paying the owed taxes. Additional fines, if the ARCA considers the non-compliance to be intentional or recurring, higher fines may be imposed. We have retention or exclusions too. In more serious cases, the companies or individuals quit may be suspended, preventing them from conducting business operation. So it's crucial to comply with ARCA deadlines to avoid financial penalties.
I think you've got it in that last line there. Basically, just do what you're supposed to do. Comply with deadlines, yes. and you'll be okay, right? Thank you very much for that. Thank you for that, Delfina. But it's always good for the guys to know as well. Potentially, the person that asked that question, I don't know, are they planning to miss the deadline? I'm not sure, but they certainly won't do now. So thank you very much for that. One thing that I did want to ask you, Delfina, if okay, you mentioned at the start of our time together today that you've been within payroll for 4 years now, which is amazing. Well done. If you don't mind me asking, what sort of brought you into the industry? What attracted you to come into payroll? What keeps you here? What do you enjoy? And what might you say to somebody who's looking to go on a similar journey to yourself?
Well, okay, I work in payroll because I really enjoy structural and challenging processes that require attention to detail. So I'm a really detailed person, and I have a strong sense of responsibility. I'm motivated by knowing that my work directly impacts people, and not only in employees too. So I'm making sure that they receive what they entitled to, on time and accurately. I also enjoy continuously learning about labor legislation and adapting to constant regulation changes that in Argentina, it's like all the time.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I think payroll is so important, right? And you mentioned the employee and the employer. So to start with the employee, if you don't get paid accurately or on time, you can't pay your bills, which means that the potential financial ruin, and it can completely destroy your life. So I think the role that you and all payroll professionals have is vitally important, but then also for the employer as well. Like most of the time, payroll is a company's biggest expense, and getting that right. And as we've heard today, the fines that you receive if you don't get that right can be extremely damaging to a business as well. So what might you say to somebody who is maybe just finished university or coming out of college, maybe enjoys the similar things to you, like quite mathematical potentially? What would you say to somebody who is looking at the potential of entering into payroll?
Okay, for me, it was really important to have someone who trained me, because we have in Argentina so many rules, so you have to learn so much about the rules, about the laws. So start to working, and if you can learning with someone will be easier, but you can do it. It's really important that you look on all you can in the laws, and try to understand everything. It's possible.
I always like people always say to me that no 2 days are the same in payroll, and it sounds especially like that in Argentina as well, with all the changes that are constantly happening. So look, thank you so much for your time today, Delfina. And that does bring us to the end of not just this session on Argentinian payroll, but to the entirety of Global Payfest. We are complete. We have done 24 countries, 24 experts, 24 hours. Thank you so much to Delfina for guiding us through the final leg of Argentinian's complex but fascinating payroll framework. To our global audience, thank you for staying with us through time zones, languages, legislation, and continents. We've gone from Australia to Argentina. As I said, we've explored 24 unique payroll systems with one unifying theme: the need for global knowledge and local precision. They're the two key things that I've taken away from these sessions. Remember, guys, all of these sessions are available on demand. We hope these insights will help you to elevate your global payroll operations, no matter where you operate. Delfina, before we finish up today, any further thoughts from yourself?
Oh, thank you very much, Tom, and thanks to everyone who joined us on this journey. It has been a pleasure sharing with you the challenges and specifics of the payroll system in Argentina. As we saw today, it's a session to have global knowledge, but also local precision that aligns with the specific regulations of each country. I hope the information was useful and helps you improve your operations globally. So see you soon.
Thank you so much, Delfina. Gracias to you and to everybody once again. I'm Tom. I'm signing off from the final stop of our Global Payfest 25. Until next year, potentially, if we're crazy enough to do it again, stay compliant, stay connected, and stay global. Thank you very much.